What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Well, happy Monday and the start of the week. Hopefully you guys had a good weekend today. In this video, I'm going to bring you guys a showcase of Holsring, and this was a champion that was recently buffed, and I gotta say the buffs were very impressive, and Holsring was very impressive in this showcase as well. So let's jump right into it. So first, Holsrings come from the Sacred Order faction. He is a magic affinity attack based damage dealer. So I do have the old notes here versus the new patch update. So the update gave Holsring a little bit of a boost for his kit, reworked some things, added some things, and definitely made him much more viable. So here is the little bit about his kit from past and present. So previously his A1 didn't include this turn meter stuff, so it was just a double hit with the chance to increase his attack, but now it has some turn meter stuff, which is pretty good, just for like general use. It's not an insane buff or anything for his A1, but it's just a general use. Makes it a little bit better in most areas. His A2 got a really nice buff. Basically the old version, he attacked enemies 3 times at random. So it wasn't a single target 3 times, it was just 3 times at random. So obviously it's kind of like more like a spraying attack, so it's less good against multiple enemies. Also, they added an additional 25% ignore defense effect if the target is under decreased speed as well. So he actually gets 50% ignore defense if they're under hex and decreased speed. So that's quite a bit of extra damage there. If you have these conditions met, of course. Sorry, I realize you guys can't read the text here, but the A3 also got a bit of a rework here. So it is a quad hit at random, and then it also places this decreased speed and hex. So previously it didn't have this decreased speed debuff. So you have a 3-turn hex that he places and a 2-turn decreased speed. And now they also added a perfect veil part of this ability for himself. So he gets that as well. Very nice update for this, allowing him to place his own conditional requirements for his own big hits. That's really good. And then his passive also got a small buff. So previously it said you needed to attack 2 targets under hex during the same turn, then you get the bonuses. Now it's just attacks a target, a single target with hex and decreased speed, and then you'll get the bonus of the perfect veil. So pretty good updates, makes him a little bit better, like with the turn meter stuff, just more general better. And then this single target instead of double targets just makes him generally a little bit easier to use. Also this quad hit, placing his own conditions are really nice, and then this single target 3-hitter instead of 3 random hits is just generally better for Holsring. So anyways, these are some really good buffs, especially some nice damage buffs here. So his best place would probably be Hydra. Previously he wasn't going to be used there, he was kind of used in Fire Knight a little bit just because he did have the quad hit and he did have a triple hit here and a double hit here. But right now he looks really good in Hydra with all this ignore defense, especially the hex and the decreased speed, which is very nice. For a damage dealer to bring the debuffs as well, it's very awesome. It gives your team an extra damage that you wouldn't be able to get otherwise if you just brought a debuffer that dealt no damage. So let's see what Holsring can do in this Hydra run that I got for you guys. Alright, so here's the team I got for you guys. Here we got Nekmothar for the increased speed, decreased speed. Keep in mind that Holsring does bring decreased speed, but he's not going to be super consistent with it because he is running a little bit slower speed than Nekmothar, for example. And he is mainly a damage dealer still with like a backup decreased speed. So here we got Nekmothar for decreased speed, increased speed, leech, also turn meter stuff, and then his aura. We got Michinaki here for hex, decreased defense, and HP burn and damage. He's just generally a very strong champion. Holsring in here for mostly damage. He brings a backup hex, a backup decreased speed. So both of these debuffs are already covered here. Michinaki, kind of the same way. He's kind of like a backup decreased defense. And in this team, him and Holsring both kind of share hex duties. So they both have hex on a cooldown. So they're kind of share that damage here. Ugo's basically here for decreased defense and block buffs. He's basically here for block buffs. After I was done this run, I was thinking Ugo probably could have been replaced by Sun Wukong, and I probably would have put way more damage on this team because Ugo doesn't need to be here for the most part. This team goes fast enough that Michinaki should get pretty good coverage with his decreased defense. So Ugo is probably not going to be too useful here, but I just wanted to make it so that the team is like a little bit more accessibleness, adding like an epic instead of adding Sun Wukong, which is another legendary. After that, we have Old Man Podrick here. Podrick's just really good. He brings a cleanse. He brings buffs for everybody. He brings continuous heals. He brings the A1 cooldown reduction, which is really, really good. And then we have Shamael, basically MVP epic here for Hydra, just to one-stop cover the Torment Head, of course. We are on hard difficulty, so I don't want to be like bringing super OP champions here to do like Brutal or Nightmare. My team's not super optimized. We have Brimstones, for example. We have low blessings, so definitely tons more damage that can be had from this team, but we'll just run it as is and see how it goes. So the big thing here is I want to compare the damage here between Michinaki and Holsring. Holsring should do good damage, but Michinaki is one of the best damage dealers in Hydra, so we'll see how it compares to basically Michinaki here. They are the only two damage dealers on this team pretty much. We have 4 support champions. My Shamael is not really built for damage. He's built more as a support champion. And I'll show you guys what went right, what went wrong, what could have been better. For example, just playing the Holsring here. I like that he brings his own debuffs, which is really, really nice. You see like his little black shadow guys are really cool. He has this cool, like, I guess he's like a, you know, a monster hunter, like Van Helsing type of character, right? So he fires a lot of his bows and all that stuff. Is pretty cool, actually. Maybe Assassin's Creed type character, right? But you see here, we saw our first kind of issue with Holsring is that his self buffs make him a target for mischief. So this is something that we have to kind of adjust a little bit accordingly. I guess I would have brought like a different mischief tank, or I would have maybe geared Shamael in something different. Maybe I would have given him Lightning Cage, for example, give him 1 extra buff. But in this case, Holsring does get targeted a couple times because he does bring some extra buffs on himself, namely the Veil. The Veil's kind of nice, but yeah, Veil gives him extra damage. Keep that in mind, gives him some extra crit damage. So we see here, we're kind of chopping along here. We're doing some pretty good damage, over 2 million return, which is pretty nice. So far, decapitated all the heads. We are on hard difficulty, and we should be able to clear hard difficulty pretty comfortably without Reviver. Holsring is pretty low there. He's probably the softest champion on this entire team, of course. Ooh, big damage there, decapitates the head. He deals tons of damage against Hex and decreased speed. If you drop both of those consistently on the enemy Hydras, then he's going to be doing tons and tons of ignore defense, which is really, really nice. See there, boom, about 1.5 million on that head, decapitated head there with the decreased defense and Hex. So really, really nice. Michinaki is just going to be a stud all the time here. Everywhere Michinaki goes, he's going to be a stud. Doesn't matter. He does have the increased defense here from the Podrick, really nice. Holsring dropping another 1.1 million on a decapitated head, so doing solid damage so far. His A1 is not as good as Michinaki's. Michinaki's A1 actually slaps. You see that 400k from Michinaki there. So that's probably the biggest thing that Michinaki has going for it. Is obviously because his A1 slaps, and he does his A1, you know, he has a chance to do his A1 on any attack, which is really insane, right? So if his A1 was weaker, he'd lose a ton of damage, but because his A1 slaps, yeah, he does a ton of damage. So Holsring's A1 definitely doesn't do as much damage, but his A2 and A3 seems to do quite well. Boom, big slap there, big slap from Holsring there. Yeah, so I mean, I really like it. I'm going to probably build him out on both my accounts. You can't really go too wrong with some damage dealers here. He is off affinity to like some other popular damage dealers like Harima or Varl the Destroyer, for example. He's magic affinity, so he's different affinity than Harima and Varl. So you could kind of sub him in as a DPS, you know, depending how deep your roster is, right? He could be your number one DPS, I think. Based on the numbers that we're seeing here, he could definitely be your number one DPS. But at the very least, he can be like a affinity sub-in. So if certain rotations are bad affinity for another damage dealer, you know, and maybe him being magic damage dealer, maybe you have a favorable rotation that you can sub him in. So far, he's looking pretty good. Look at the damage output from this run so far. Boss turn 18, we're at 44 million already. Like I said, we're running 4 supports. We're basically just running 2 damage dealers here, Michinaki and the Holsring. Supports here, just making sure that our damage dealers get turns, making sure they're buffed up, making sure the Hydras are controlled. And yeah, so far so good. So far so good. Very, very nice. Holsring is very good to use. Obviously, he brings the decreased speed and hex, which really, really helps just in case you run into situations where your skills are on cooldown or you don't have enough, you know, you don't have enough turns to land your debuffs or whatever. Having a backup is really nice, and he brings some of the most relevant debuffs, decreased speed and hex. And even if you consider him a support champion that can deal damage, that's kind of like, it's kind of a good thing too, right? Like, you want to squeeze as much damage into some of these teams as you can. I know at the very highest end, you are definitely looking to squeeze damage wherever you can. Everybody needs to have damage. So I don't know if Holsring is going to make like super end game, but maybe. My Holsring, like I said, is not optimized or super strong or anything like that. I put him in some good gear. We'll show the gear off at the end here. But so far, yeah, he looks really good. This team doesn't look overly overpowered or anything. It is good team. Nekmothar can be replaced with Yostrid, for example. He brings speed up and speed down. So it's got to be somebody similar-ish and maybe speed up. Maybe just a speed down champion would work because you do have Pauldrig. Pauldrig could be anybody with a cleanse or support, some buffs. Mithrala works. Obviously, Mithrala is not going to be as strong because Pauldrig does bring ally attack as well, and his A1 is very, very good with the skill reset. Ugo is just being Ugo. Shamail is just being Shamail. Those champions are generally kind of harder to replace because AoE block buffs and obviously Torment, dealing with Torment. Not too many champions can deal with it super clean. Shamail is the easiest option. I know I say that because the other options are not so easy. Tuhanarok is one. Firo is the other one. Duchess is one. But yeah, there's not super easy options for the Torment counter, of course. But anyways, guys, I'm going to let the run play out here, and we'll see you guys at the end for the results, and we'll talk about some of the builds here, okay? All right, nearing the end of the run here at 1400 turns, coming up to the 1500 limit here. Funny thing is, I just noticed there's little skeletons floating in the water here. That's kind of cool. I never actually realized that, but it's a little funny side thing here. So let's drop back down to the normal speed. But yeah, so we're kind of doing a comparison between Holsring and Michinaki. Just on first impression, I wouldn't imagine that Michinaki does less damage than Holsring just because Michinaki is just a beast. But I think Holsring should do pretty good here in the end statistics. Probably need to bump this up a little bit here, so 2x speed, I guess. But yeah, I think he probably ends up being similar to Varl, but maybe like a magic damage dealer, whereas Varl's spirit. Varl probably deals more damage, to be honest, but probably not by much. Although I think Holsring's maybe a better carry. If your roster is not that deep and you're lacking, obviously, the critical debuffs from your roster, like decreased speed, hex, maybe you don't have good curse gear, for example, Holsring actually would be better than Varl because Varl pretty much just brings damage and a weaken. So Holsring could be better for you if you are lacking like hex or decreased speed. He can at least be a backup. I mean, in the worst case scenario, he could even be a main, like the main source of it. But of course, the problem with that is that you have to build him with accuracy. So he's a damage dealer to start. So you obviously build him for damage. This means that Holsring is probably best served as a lower difficulty Hydra champion, just because you can build him with accuracy, but you don't need to build him with that much accuracy. So for hard, for example, put him with like 250 accuracy is plenty. And you can do all the debuffs and stuff. So here is the final breakdown of everything. Nekmothar coming in here with 24 million, mostly from Brimstone. He has War Master on. Michinaki here, 233 million damage. Just about half of the overall damage here. Holsring 140 million. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. I think Varl, if Varl was in here, Varl, I think, had a favorable rotation this one, or whatever rotation I'm playing against on the test server. But there was a lot of force affinity heads, so Varl probably would have done pretty good damage as well. Probably somewhere in the 180s, with similar gear, of course. But yeah, so I think this is a good comparison because both of them are magic. Both of them share the Hex debuff, so I don't have any other champion with Hex. So both of them are kind of sharing the Hex debuff damage, so this is a pretty good comparison here. 230 million versus 140 million. So Michinaki still reigning supreme, of course, but Holsring definitely carrying his weight. Ugo was 16 million. If this was Sun Wukong instead of Ugo, I'm pretty sure I could do probably like 100 million with Wukong, so this would be like close to a 600 million run. If I used Wukong instead of Ugo. But it is what it is. Ugo is still obviously helpful with cruelty and his her heal and cleanse. Padre doesn't even have War Master on, so he's not going to do a lot of damage. But he's here to be full support. Shamail's a mischief tank. He is quick cap with damage stats, but he doesn't do a lot of damage. 63 million from him. So let's take a look at the builds here. So like I said, guys, hopefully this gives you guys a rough baseline of where Holsring stands in terms of overall damage compared to Michinaki. Unfortunately, Michinaki was a guarantee back in the day, but if you weren't playing at that time, you know, you still have to pull him, of course. Varl is somebody that you would get from Doom Tower eventually. So hopefully you guys get Varl and can use him, but Holsring, very good champion. If you guys pulled him, definitely worth using. So here's my Holsring. He's 230 accuracy without the Hydra debuffs. Hold on, let me select those. So the Hydra battles, you got 280 accuracy, so that's plenty for hard difficulty. His speed is okay. This is roughly where I want my damage dealer's speed at. He's getting the additional crit damage from the Hydra bonuses. I don't have empowerments. I don't have faction guardians. I don't even have a super strong blessing, so he can definitely be a lot stronger. But there's my Holsring. He is in 4-piece merciless, with the 2-piece cruel. So here is the biggest issue here. I don't have the 6-piece merciless gear. If I put the 6-piece merciless gear on him, it would have been 30% ignore defense on top of all his ignore defense. I think if I had the 6-piece merciless gear, the damage would have been much higher. So unfortunately, I didn't have it, but I wanted him to have the reduction from the merciless set. So, you know, maybe just gearing him in straight lethal would have been better. But I think he did pretty good without the ignore damage set on him. So definitely keep that in mind, guys, when you guys are building him out. So after that, we're going to show, what do we got here? I think I showed my Michinaki to compare overall damage. So Michinaki is in lethal gear. His stats are somewhat similar, actually, but in lethal. So here you go. Very similar stats, a bit faster, so he's going to get more rotations in. Obviously, his passive lets his A1 do more damage. He does have accuracy for nightmare difficulty. But yeah, he's in lethal gear. He's doing more damage. But I think if the Holsring was in lethal gear, damage might have been a lot closer. So there's the Holsring again. So you can see here. Yeah, fully booked with Heaven Cast. Heaven Cast works pretty well. Probably better than like Phantom Touch. You guys could consider the new Harmony Blessing, the Nature's Wrath. Nature's Wrath, I believe, is better than Heaven Cast at the maybe like 5-star. And then 6-star is probably still going to be crushing Ren for everybody in terms of overall damage. Here's my Padre. He's just built in speed gear. Nothing fancy. He's just speed with some refresh stuff, with some reviver masteries. So you get Neclothar here. He's in provoke gear. He's just fast, accuracy. 284 with the Hydra bonuses. Got some refresh stuff. Here's my Ugo. I actually didn't gear Ugo fully. She was missing some gear, but even though she's missing the banner and the amulet, still have enough accuracy to work for the hard difficulty. So 247 here without amulet and banner. That was by accident. But still, she worked out fine. War Master on her. And I believe the last one is the Shamail. The Shamail here running Guardian just for extra support. He is the Mischief tank, so he's geared for some damage, but obviously not a lot of attack or anything like that. And then he has a lot of resistance just to deal with the Mischief. So he does have a shield ring to help him guide the Mischief towards him. War Master for some extra damage. But yeah, guys, so that's going to be it for the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Definitely very promising stuff from Holsring. If you guys have him, I think he's going to definitely make it into some of your Hydra teams. You know, it might not be your A team, it might not be your B team, but I think definitely your C team. And occasionally he'll pop in as a affinity sub. And I think he gets better for earlier accounts that lack some of the debuffs. Because he brings some of the critical ones that you must have on every team. So if your roster is lacking, then he's going to get even better. So anyways, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments below if you guys are convinced that Holsring is actually worth using. Personally, I'm going to build him out on both my accounts, and he's going to find a DPS slot somewhere on one of my Hydra teams. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching as always. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next video.